Okay, we're going to return to open session. I want to report out from our closed session meeting that pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.952, we had a briefing from our legal counsel, and we took no action, and therefore I have nothing to report to you on this matter. Open time, this is the opportunity for members of the public to address the commission on matters that we don't have scheduled for a hearing tonight, on matters that they believe are related to LAFCO and would like to speak on. So if there is anyone in the audience who would like to do that and raise their hand and point the finger towards the person who's raising their hand, now's their chance. If you would care to give us your name.
Layla Hill, Los Ranchitos, adjacent to San Rafael. We have a question. So I think it was last summer, pardon? Last summer we attended a policy committee or subcommittee meeting with you, and Keen Simmons was here, and Damon Connolly was there, Rick Savell was with us, and Judy and I were there. And we discussed a number of things of policy. One was a clause about areas within a sphere of influence would be planned by the municipal entity that might annex them in the future, and whether that would stay as a policy or not. And that subcommittee recommended that we not have that. And then there were questions about defining unincorporated islands and elaborating on the sphere of influence policies. And that, after that meeting, that was supposed to come back to the full commission, I believe. And so that was where we left off with it. And our question is, did any of that come back to the commission, and what happened with all of those actions? We lost track.
But again, I'm sure that it did, and as the rules say for open time, we will take your question and get back to you in writing, because I know I don't have it on the tip of my tongue and clearly in the back of my memory, and I don't know if Rachel was here then either, but I know that that was the time that we were amending our policy, so I am sure that it came back, but we'll track that down and give you a record on that.
Perfect.
Is that fair? Good. Good seeing you again, too. And how was the pizza? Was it acceptable?
It was fabulous. Yes.
Oh, great.
Very acceptable. We know that you can't really respond during open time.
Okay, we're next going to move to the consent calendar items. We have a number of them, 9 of them, and they include a variety of things from the approval of the minutes at our last meeting to the ratification of the reconciliation of payments in the last quarter, update on the budget projections, and information on pending proposals, of which there are apparently a number out there that may turn into bona fide proposals. An interesting Cal LAFCO white paper on agricultural preservation, one of LAFCO's primary duties and responsibilities as given to it by the legislature. The listing of the Joint Powers Authority that we have been the recipient of, to be filed with us. So if anyone has any of the 9 matters that they would like to for us to break out to discuss individually, let me know, and we'll pull them out and discuss them and hopefully resolve any issues, and then put them back in, and we will have a consent calendar to take action on.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to pull
Yes.
item 8.
Item 8.
Just for a quick
The Joint Powers
comment
Authority.
question.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll get all the ones, and then we'll just move sequentially down through them. Any other items that commissioners would like to pull out and discuss? Okay, 8. Joint Powers Authority information report, information only. let's see, do you have a specific question? Would you
Yeah.
like Rachel to give an explanation of that before we leap into it?
No, I
All
just
right.
wanted to add that MGSA, Animal Control, and McStop are under MGSA. I already mentioned it to Rachel.
Yeah, so the Marin Humane Society actually filed their JPA with us when we sent out first notice and their original agreement, and I believe that was with the county and the city of Novato. And as of 2015, I know MGSA was the Marin Humane Society was added to MGSA's program. And this is in helping with coordination with the county and the 11 cities and towns with the Marin Humane Society's facilities and services. So we didn't ask directly for their joint powers agreement in that second notice, but within the first notice that went out as of January 2017, they were one of the first to present that to us. So we just included that as well in our list.
I just thought it would be nice to add that as a line to each of those, that they are part of MGSA.
Absolutely.
And then I know that we put this list on our website. I know this is something that a lot of people are interested in seeing, so I'm glad that we actually have a comprehensive list that can be put on the website. So thank you, Rachel, for that. That's all I had.
Okay, I have a question on the same item. Rachel, on the listing of the joint power authorities or agencies, will they be listed on our website?
Yes, and Sashi, Commissioner McEntee had the same comment,
Okay.
and that will be added to our website hopefully as soon as tomorrow.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, we've discussed, I think, Craig, you have,
Just so, the municipal services, the defining part, is that from the state controller's office, they define that, or the agencies themselves define that as it goes through state controllers, and then it comes back down to LAFCOs to be listed? How does that kind of sort out?
So, good question. I believe Cal LAFCO developed some language in defining the services, and from my understanding, we also defined our own, and we use the municipal service code of 56047.7 of those services that qualify as a municipal service.
if those are all the questions that you have on the consent calendar, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar. Motion by Commissioner Rodoni and second by Commissioner Baker to approve the consent calendar. All commissioners in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any commissioner opposed? Any commissioner abstaining? Motion passes, and we'll move on to our public hearing matter, which is consideration and adoption of the proposed operating budget for fiscal year 2018-2019. This is a public hearing. Rachel, do you have a presentation here?
Yeah.
Okay, if you would do that, and then we'll ask commissioners if they have any questions on your presentation, and then we'll open the hearing.
So this is the first of two steps under LAFCO law to present to the commission a proposed operating budget for the next fiscal year ahead of a May 1st deadline for public review. And if this proposed draft budget is approved at tonight's meeting, then staff will go about circulating this to the public as well as our 42 government funding agencies, with the goal to come back to you in June for final action, which would qualify as step 2. Now, working with the budget committee, ultimately the recommendation is to make an increase of approximately in our operating expenses, approximately about $45,000, which is an 8.1 increase from last year. We would go from $556,781 from this current fiscal year to about $601,875 for the next. And the increase is mainly tied to salary adjustments ahead of the appointment for the executive officer position and a $40,000 contingency and any additional staffing or hiring needs or changes. Now, there is a 17.7 increase as well in general administrative services, and that is largely tied to Cal LAFCO conferences and staff workshops, which is based on actuals from this current year. Also, there is at least an approximate 5,000 increase in legal services in step with our new commission council appointment. Just so you know, the proposed budget also brings Marin LAFCO under the current fiscal year's average budgeted operating expenses of $700,000, around $219 among the other 7 Bay Area LAFCOs, the active LAFCOs, excluding San Francisco. This is referenced, this distinction is referenced despite Marin LAFCO having more local agencies under its oversight with a total of 65 than the others, with the exception of Contra Costa, which is at 67. So we are still at a relatively good deal. And our costs, despite this increase, which is mainly attributed to our salary adjustments, I believe we are stabilizing. And I would like to turn the item to the Budget Committee and see if they would care to provide a word.
Okay, any members of the Budget Committee that would like to discuss this matter? Craig?
Yep, so I want to thank Rachel for bringing in a balanced budget with slight increases so that some of the member agencies increases. We did look at some of the important areas such as legal, adjusting that, and then also staff's been working very hard, particularly since we do not have an executive director. So it's nice to see the 2% COLA, which is equivalent to Marin County employees as well. But I thank the subcommittee. I think we accept what staff put together, and we had some questions and some accommodations for some of the changes, such as, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Craig. Any others? You did? Oh, Sashi.
So I'm on that committee, but I wasn't able to attend that meeting, so just noting that I wasn't there. The professional services includes the search firm. Is the search firm's fee included in the budget?
So I believe by the time of the end of this current fiscal year, that will be all paid
Okay,
for.
okay.
But that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
What if? What if at the end of the search, our current search, we don't have a new executive officer and want to continue it? It's just something to think, that if we've got reserves or something like that to pull in on this, we should give that some thought. Not that that will occur, but it's been known to happen. Dennis?
Just to possibly answer your question, we do have 40,000 built in the payroll that could perhaps cover an extended search. My comments are really rather general. I thought an 8% increase, given that many other budgets are being cut this year. The county is asking for a 5% cut amongst its departments. I don't know what special districts are doing. We're seeing a downturn in the economy, so I was a little concerned about that. But I was willing to move this forward and pass it out to our partners. But the real comment I wanted to make, and I made it to the committee, I'm a little concerned, and maybe we need to have this discussion at strategic planning workshop. We've grown from 375,000 to over 600,000 this year in the annual budget. And the question I have is, what in that growth are we doing different? And what are the benefits to our member agencies from that large increase? And maybe that's something that we can talk about at the strategic planning workshop, because I missed a few years here, probably from 14 to this year. And I'm not sure that I'm aware that we're doing business that much different, except the budget's gone up a tremendous amount. So that's my comment, and I'm willing to
okay.
move this forward, though.
Okay.
Our members.
The one thing I might note is that the municipal service reviews now seem to be occupying a great deal of our time. And that is an obligation that the legislature put on LAFCOs without any appropriation. And I did notice in the legislation before us for comment on this evening that there is a bill in for assistance to LAFCOs that for special studies, and I would take that to indicate municipal services, because I think if the amount of work, particularly as Rachel pointed out, you know, we have in the Bay Area really the highest number of total agencies for which the agency must prepare MSRs, and that costs a lot of money. And the legislature should be ponying up some, at least. And I think this legislation offers a grant process. It may be that we should be looking for other sources of revenue as well, such as grants for projects like this. But I think your point is well taken, Dennis.
Thank you.
Sashi?
So Dennis, I definitely agree with you that we should add that to our retreat agenda. You brought up that the search firm could go into the 40K contingency, but aren't we also using that for our temporary administrative
Yeah,
services?
staffing changes. I would be a little conservative or apprehensive to dig into that. I believe we would still be okay to include that within our professional services account. And I would be happy to amend or adjust that as needed.
We do have some salary savings with the executive officer's position still open and not being paid down. And that could be a source of revenue, and I guess that's where your 45,000 comes from?
A part of that, yes.
Part of it, okay. Well, okay, so we have basically, do we have a motion well, we have a public hearing on this. So I'm going to open the public hearing, even though the public's left, and see if there are any members of the public that are here that would like to comment on the proposed budget before it's sent out for review. And not seeing anyone, could I get a motion to close the hearing?
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Thank you, Commissioner Murray and Commissioner Baker. Motion to, and second.
So we would need a motion to adopt the resolution.
Isn't the resolution for when the budget comes back to us to adopt?
It would be for ahead of the May 1st deadline for LAFCO Law to present the draft budget.
Okay, so this is the vehicle by which the draft budget is submitted to.
And circulated to
And
the funding
circulated and
agencies.
submitted, and they get back. Okay.
So Chair,
Yes.
I'd move alternative one, which does three things. Adopts the attached resolution approving the proposed budget for 2018-19.
Second?
Does the second item directing the interim executive director to circulate adopted budget for 18-19 for review and comment on the funding agencies and general public. And the third item, direct the committee to return with final budget 18-19 for adoption as part of the notice hearing on June 7, 2018.
3?
Of all three? Okay, so we have a vote on the, all three. All those commissioners in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any commissioner opposed? Any commissioner abstain? Motion passes, and this is passed around to our participating agencies and comes back to us in June.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Legislative report, Rachel.
So the Cal LAFCO Legislative Committee has tracked at least 7 high-priority bills impacting LAFCO. Now, only 3 of these bills at this time merit a response from the commission, and that is AB 2600, AB 2258, and AB 2491. AB 2600 is a bill that would give the option for regional park and open space districts to initiate a formation through a resolution rather than just getting a $5,000 signature petition. And this would essentially allow the same formation methods that already exist for some other districts. And moving on to AB 2258, this is a very important bill to LAFCOs throughout the state that would allow for a grant funding program to provide LAFCOs to initiate and complete a dissolution of inactive special districts, along with also preparing special studies based off our determinations, which are provided in our municipal service reviews and for further analysis. It would be a huge opportunity for LAFCOs to dig a little deeper, to use these funds, to do more follow-up work after our MSRs that are completed, and to provide a little bit more in-depth analysis in a more timely manner and kind of give a little bit more action items. Lastly, AB 2491 seeks to establish a separate vehicle license fee adjustment amount for future city and corporations from the Educational Revenue Augmentation Fund. And this would create a better incentive for future possible city and corporations or annexations of inhabited territory. Staff recommends to proceed with alternative action 1 and provide support letters for AB 2600, AB 2258, and AB 2491.
Okay, this is, again, it's not a public hearing, but people from the audience can address the commission, but I don't see any here. But anyway, that's so. Sashi, did you have a question?
Yes. Rachel, 2491 is the one that's the League of California Cities worked on with LAFCO based on the bill that passed about the 4 cities in Riverside County last year. Is that the one? Can you give some background on that?
So I believe, to my knowledge, earlier there was an incorporation around January 2012 where a city in Riverside needed additional funds with the vehicle license fee and were unable to receive those funds through that general fund, and they found or established a way that a separate license agreement would work. And that kind of spearheaded this new legislation. And Riverside was county. I wish I could report back exactly what city that was. And I would be happy to report that on another note, but that spearheaded this legislation from Cooley, Assemblyman Cooley.
Rachel, I don't know if you can answer this question, but what's in it for LAFCO with Cooley's bill? I understand the cities, but if we're advocating his bill, I would want a better feeling about what LAFCO gets out of that. I understand the first 2 bills, but this one I don't.
And I believe in some way it would help with orderly growth and development where maybe a lot of these more established unincorporated areas could form and incorporate and become a city and actually receive funding to, provide their own urban services and kind of get a lot of the urban services that are provided from the county or other special districts for those areas to be able to farm and kind of develop and provide those services for themselves.
Yeah, I just looked back on my notes from I'm on the League of California Cities Revenue and Taxation Policy Committee, and they gave us a report on this when they were working on it, and it's part of the, if you recall, the triple flip, which was the
I thought that was an ice skating.
yeah, the VLF property tax swap of 2004, and cities used to get more VLF, but then now they get the property tax in lieu of the VLF, the vehicle license fee, and this did not take into account what happens when you have a new city, and it made annexations and new incorporations unviable because they would lose that property tax in lieu of VLF. And look at my notes here, SB 89 in 2011 then wiped out the rest of the in lieu for annexation, so then nobody wanted to annex anymore. So then there was a special bill for 4 cities in Riverside County, SB 130, that fixed that problem just for those 4, and then that was used as a template for the rest of the state. And I think this is I believe this was the product of that process.
So this would further kind of LAFCO's role in incorporations of lands that are better being in cities.
Yeah, I think that it takes away one of the potential objections to annexation, because
Okay.
it's
Okay.
not as negative to do it,
Okay.
cost negative.
So, your recommendation, Rachel, is to support the 3 listed under alternative action 1, the 3 bills?
Yes, absolutely. So to authorize staff to send support letters for those 3 bills, AB 2600, AB 2258, and AB 2491.
Do I hear any motion from the commission on that? Oh, okay. Greg?
So one of the other bills listed is AB 1215, Hertzberg on disadvantaged unincorporated communities. It's up in Sacramento yesterday, and this was one of the bills that CASA, statewide group of sanitation agencies, has a concern with. Basically, there's no funding attached to this, and it's also in a strong watch position. On the CASA side, I see it as well as on the Cal LAFCO side. So I think if we could pay particular attention to that, it could potentially affect those few ducks that are here and the agencies that serve those smaller or larger wastewater agencies.
Yeah, agreed. And Cal LAFCO's, strongly watching this. Fortunately for Marin right now, although we do need to develop some policies to define disadvantaged incorporated communities in this area, but given the state and Cal LAFCO definition under Cortez Knox Hertzberg, we do not have any disadvantaged unincorporated communities within the county. Which, okay.
I thought that changed.
I believe
Well,
have
we
2.
do
We have
Marin City,
and Alto.
excuse me. Yes,
Yeah, both happen to be in my area.
okay.
And which one, Lou?
Marin City and Alto Sanitary. The
Oh,
district.
Alto.
Those are both disadvantaged districts, disadvantaged areas.
My apologies.
Okay. Okay. So, Craig, your idea is to essentially watch this. Do we have a functioning legislative committee? Yeah.
At the moment, I believe we'll have a meeting ahead of end of the June closing session. So a meeting will be called in May.
Oh, in May. Okay, so, but at this point, these 3 at least, you're recommending go forward with a letter from us of support. And Craig says, we've got another bill that we need to watch and bring up at the legislative committee's meeting to see what action, if any, we would be taking on that.
That might be just correspondence.
Sure.
That just might be perhaps correspondence from Marin LAFCO up to Cal LAFCO indicating that we, along with CASA, have concern with this bill to watch it closely. And it may affect, as you mentioned, other jurisdictions more, but is also precedent setting, and it could disproportionately affect smaller districts like Alto if there's some kind of forced connection based on a larger regulatory authority rather than Marin LAFCO.
And I believe right now, it's still held up in committees, but again, yeah, Cal LAFCO will be watching it, and once it moves, and with our next upcoming legislative committee, we can definitely take action and see how it moves, and if we do need to oppose it, we can present that at our next meeting to submit an opposed letter.
Right now, we have before us whether we should request that you send a letter to the authors of AB 2600, AB 2258, and AB 2491 of support. So if I have a motion in a second from that, that will be our direction for.
I'll move approve support letters for AB 2600, AB 2258, and AB 2491.
Thank you. Do I have a second to that? Second by Commissioner Baker? Yes, okay. I have a motion and a second to essentially follow alternative action 1, which is approve a support position for AB 2600, AB 2258, and AB 2491, and instruct the interim executive officer to issue a letter so indicating to the authors of the bill. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any commissioner abstain? Any commissioner objecting? That motion passes. And we will turn to the next item, which is item 12, which is a report on the Cal LAFCO annual workshop in progress still.
Yes,
Here, not far from where we are.
There's currently still going strong for tonight's reception, but I believe the commission can be very proud of Marin LAFCO hosting this year's workshop. Yesterday, our mobile workshop was a tour of the Point Reyes Farmstead Cheese Company, and they provided a cheese tasting along with a absolutely fantastic lunch. I have been hearing from the LAFCO veterans that this was the best mobile workshop in all of Cal LAFCO history. Attendees also got to see the birth of a baby calf that is now named Cal LAFCO.
Calf LAFCO?
Staff, along with Chair Blanchfield, gave welcoming remarks and kicked off the event with a beautiful summary of Marin County, its history, geography, and all the lovely things to do and enjoy here. Overall, this could have not been a better event, and tomorrow is the last day with the great final program. So again, Marin LAFCO has provided a great representation of the county and city of San Rafael, and also past staff workshops. Staff would also like to just give a big thanks to Cal LAFCO staff, Cal LAFCO Executive Director Pamela Miller, along with the Cal LAFCO Board of Directors, and really just great tour guides, and Nikki from the Farmstead Cheese Company, and also the Farmstead Cheese Company. They just helped Marin LAFCO provide a great workshop.
If I may put a footnote on that, since I gave one of the welcoming talks to the group, there are well over 100 people there. It wasn't a small group. And I heard from people that I've known in LAFCO for a long time that said this was the penultimate workshop. and that the tour out into West Marin, into the farm and the artisan cheese place was something that they will remember forever. They said it was just incredible. And as Rachel pointed out, the crowning touch, just as everybody was getting ready to get back on the bus, was a calving that happened right there. And that's all they talked about when they got back, was this incredible experience out here. So I think a great deal of credit goes to Rachel for helping organize this thing, because it ran like clockwork. Everybody was happy. They thought they had a great time. And the cold weather and the rain didn't deter them. So congratulations, Rachel. You did a great job on
And
that.
we have also a new plaque to put in our office for appreciation. And I don't believe a lot of other LAFCOs received this or as nice of a plaque as this one. So please stop by, take a look at it.
Okay, let me move on to the last one, which is the executive officer's report. And I assume that, unless you have another report, that was your report?
I do not.
Okay. Commissioner announcements. I just wanted to bring everybody up on the status of our EO search. The committee, I think, put together a pretty good process. Commissioner McAtee and Commissioner Baker and myself have met with Clay Phillips of Beckham and McKinney, the executive search firm, and he's their executive search specialist. The brochure that he put together after we got together with him and sort of scoped out what the job requirements and what kind of a person we were looking at, put that together and put out, I thought, an incredibly attractive brochure that each of you have been emailed a copy of. And that has been circulated to, well, the 500 copies were produced, and they were circulated all over the state. I was talking to Pam Miller, executive officer of Cal LAFCO, and she said that the announcement had been put on Cal LAFCO's website and all the websites that Cal LAFCO is associated with. I've heard comments from others who've seen it that were really wowed by the attractiveness of the brochure. So a lot's going on. I also found out that there are other LAFCOs recruiting for executive officers, including right here in the Bay Area. So a lot's going on. It helps to have, I believe, the caliber of information that we're putting out through Peckham and McKinney. I think it will help us greatly. The filing deadlines for applications are Friday on May 4th. And the schedule calls for preliminary interviews by Clay Phillips of the recruiting firm on Thursday and Friday, May 17th and May 18th. Then he will call that down to a group that he will take to the search committee, to the policy committee, of his recommendation of candidates, and that will occur on Tuesday, May 22nd. And from that will come the final 3 or 4 applicants that the commission will interview. And so set aside Wednesday, May 30th for the final interviews. We will have it in either of 2 places, and you'll be notified well in advance of that, either here in the conference room down the hall where we were, or potentially here if this is open, or at the LAFCO offices in the conference room next to our existing glass conference room. So it will begin around 1:30 and extend to 6, and you will be given information well in advance of what we'll be doing, where we'll be doing it, and how long it'll take, and where we go from there. So any other questions you might have on the search, please let me know, or Sasha know, or Jack know. Glad to respond to your concerns or interests. Yes, please, Dennis.
Not on the search, but a commissioner announcement. I ran into Christopher Burdick today.
Yes.
And he's doing well. He's recovering from his second surgery. Fourth, if you're counting failures. He had 2 failures. But he's doing quite well. One of his legs is pretty well recovered. The other one, it was just operated on, he's just recovering, going through physical therapy. He has a driver and a helper, and he's getting around quite well. And I said to say hello to everyone, and I know he's going to see Mr. Baker, Commissioner Baker at some point. And anyway, he's doing fine, he's recovering, he's feeling much better, and he had a huge frustration with the first surgery that didn't go well.
Thanks very much, and of course, when you see him again, send him all our best too. Okay, yes, Sashi.
I just wanted to bring up some, it seems like we've had a few things that we've talked about as things we should bring up at the retreat, and so I just wanted to kind of give the list of what I've sort of captured, and then something I wanted to see whether people would be interested in. One was the discussion of whether or not we want Commission Council to attend meetings regularly, and to that end, also, it would be interesting to discuss what people think about the style of staff reports and MSRs. The way, right now, we have sort of a kind of a formal style that is fairly verbose. We have these sort of voluminous MSRs and reports because that's been the style that we've been used to. If the commission were interested in making them more concise or more crisp, I think that would also save time in commission council reviewing documents, save us time, make it easier for the public to review them. I think that would be something to discuss, would be the style of the reports. And then I didn't know the Los Ranchitos folks were going to come because I'd had on my list clarification of policies such as that. What does it mean to be in a sphere? Island annexation. There's some other policy issues that we might want to have some discussion as a commission about how we feel about those things. And then I just made a note because Dennis brought it up earlier that talking about the increase in the budget over the last 4 years and what that means. So that's just the kind of running list that I've had and wanted to bring up for us to talk about.
Well, that's good. I mean, I look at, first of all, I believe that there is unanimity in trying to get Bill Chout back to be our facilitator for life. He's been very good, and people like that. And it would probably be good to get a committee or a group that could help him develop the agenda for that discussion so that we're going in a direction that people want to go and covering things we want to cover. At that time, at least I feel we should have a new executive officer on board so that we're all on the same page. We look at the work program ahead of us, and I think it would be good to take the kinds of concerns and issues people have that we ought to be looking at, in addition to the studies that we're mandated to do. So that will be something that will be coming up probably in the summer, early fall, I guess. We'll see how long it takes us to get a new executive officer. And it might be the end of May. Jack.
The topics. I think at each meeting, since one or two things come up, we say, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So it might be good, and I'm sure Rachel has all these lists. It might be good to sort of get a list of this and see, are there some that kind of could be melded together, or some that there's not a lot of interest, kind of set some priorities.
This was all that I could recall at the moment, but you're right, I think we've been bringing these things up.
So maybe you could, I don't know, if you could some manner give us something that we could go through and say, yeah, this is great, and, again, kind of just give some priorities. You're very good at coming up with It may have to be a 2-day.
What I think would be helpful is if people would send into Rachel in written form what their ideas are, so she can pull them together and make the list and have what your intent was. And then we refine that, at a commission meeting in advance of the workshop, so that we can have an agenda and work with Bill to present that and work through it. Is that, okay, Craig?
So, in tonight's work plan, there's about 24 items, 10 were priorities to work on. And I was looking at those 10, and 6 of the 10 were really just about staff and functions, or, you know, things about us operating. And of those 10, only 4 items were really related to product, MSRs and this sort. So, you know, we are spending a lot of time in terms of just getting us organized and set. That's not a bad thing, but as Jeff mentioned, there's a lot of heavy work in terms of our spheres and our documents that we do are mandated by the state to push out. So Sashi's comments about making those as efficient and standardized as we can, particularly with our limited staff and our kind of set budget, I think that is very keen, and we need to kind of focus on that.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll turn those 10 goals into work products, besides just once we get kind of our operational items set.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's helpful, too, to take a project and break it down as to the amount of people power that's necessary to do that. So you get an idea of what's real, what can be done, and where you want to put your effort, and how much time that's going to take, and what's realistic, and how you can assign funds to particular things. So maybe a little bit more refined idea of what the work program looks like, other than a listing of things we'd want to do. Because it's all of it's very ambitious for 2.8 people. That also keeps an office going besides doing that kind of research. And the way we've been doing it, which has been very meticulous to build a very firm foundation for future work on it. Other thoughts before somebody makes a motion to adjourn? Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Any second? I will second. Second, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.